Even if the wall you're about to paint is brand new, there may be a few imperfections that require repair. Depending on project standards and the trades involved, you may not be responsible for repairing those imperfections. But when repairs are needed, it's good to know these common best practices. For small dents or gouges in the drywall, you'll need a retractable razor knife, 220 grit sandpaper, spackle or joint compound, putty knife, and a clean cloth. Start by cutting away any loose drywall face paper. Then lightly sand the area so no rough paper edges remain. Wipe it clean. If the area is less than 1/8 inch in diameter, use spackling compound to make the repair. For larger dents or scrapes, joint compound is a better choice. Either way, load your putty knife and draw it across the damaged area at a 90-degree angle. Repeat once or twice to fill the dent and feather off excess compound. Allow the compound to dry completely. Because the compound typically shrinks, a second or third coat is needed to create a level surface. Sand lightly between each coat, and before you paint, sand the surface smooth with very fine grit sandpaper and wipe it clean. Because joint compound is porous, you should prime the repaired area before painting. Otherwise, the sheen and shade of the touch-up paint may not match the rest of the wall. Cracks are also common, even in relatively new drywall. As the home settles or wood framing dries, cracks may appear below windows or above doors. To repair a crack, you'll need a retractable razor knife, joint compound, putty knife, fine grit sandpaper, and mesh tape. It's not enough to just smear joint compound along the crack, because the crack will just come back. Instead, cut a thin V-shaped groove along both sides of the crack. Fill it with joint compound, let the compound dry, and sand it smooth. Next, place mesh tape over the crack and apply joint compound, feathering it onto the wall. 2 or 3 coats may be needed, each time feathering the material 8 to 10 inches on either side of the crack. When the compound is dry and sanded smooth, you're ready to prime and paint. Popped nails or screws are among the most common problems. To fix a popped nail, you'll need a hammer or electric drill, spackle compound, 1 to 2 drywall nails or screws, and fine grit sandpaper. Don't just pound them back in and fill the dent. Instead, press the panel firmly against the stud and drive a new nail or drywall screw an inch or so above the old one. If possible, pull out the popped nail. Fill both dimples with spackling compound, using the techniques you've seen, adding coats, letting them dry, and sanding between coats. Drywall corners are particularly vulnerable to damage as other trades come and go during the construction process. To repair drywall corners, you'll need a 5-in-1 tool, hacksaw, new length of corner bead, cordless drill, metal file, joint compound, putty knife, and a drywall sander. If the metal corner bead is only slightly dented, you can use a 5-in-1 tool to scrape away any loose drywall material. Gently tap the damaged metal section so it's level, or slightly below the surface of the drywall. If necessary, resecure it with drywall screws or nails. Then, apply joint compound, building up layers to cover the corner completely. On the other hand, if the metal bead is beyond repair, you'll have to cut out the damaged section with a hacksaw. Then, cut a new length of metal bead to replace the section you removed, and secure it with 4 drywall screws, 2 on each end. File off any rough edges. Apply 2 to 3 layers of joint compound to conceal the bead. When dry, use a drywall sander to restore a perfect 90-degree angle. Whether you've had to repair a section of damaged drywall and repaint, or scuffs have marred the surface of the paint, touch-ups are among the most frequent callbacks in new residential construction. For a proper touch-up, you'll need a small quantity of the original paint, the original application tool, and water or mineral spirits for thinning. After the damaged section has been repaired and primed, touch up using the same paint initially applied. It's always a good idea to save some of the original paint, so color and sheen are an exact match. Reduce latex paint with water by 5 to 10%, or for oil-based paints, reduce by the same percentage using the correct solvent. Touch up using the original application method. For example, if the paint was applied with a roller, don't touch up with a brush. If the wall was painted with an airless sprayer, spray a small quantity of paint through your spray gun and save it for later use. If possible, try to do the touch-up when the temperature is similar to the original application. Temperature can affect the final color of the touch-up, with cooler temperatures actually causing the shade to appear lighter than the rest of the wall. Last but not least, be patient. It takes time for paint to dry, so wait a couple of weeks before determining if your touch-up is a success. So don't let drywall scuffs or nicks spoil a perfect paint job. Instead, use these guidelines to make a perfect repair.